Going to the job numbers, you can see employment by industry, and you can see, for example, manufacturing jobs are declining. So manufacturing writ large is now in recession. It's contracting. And of course, that's on the front lines of the trade war. You can see it in agriculture. You can see it in transportation, distribution, wholesaling. These are, directly affected by the tariffs. But obviously, as you pointed out about excuse me, the immigration, but the oh, I'm sorry, Bob. I got confused between they're both acting in the same direction, and they're both showing up in the data. So I
Yeah.
apologize. The immigration, that's a you can't see that directly in the kind of in the employment data by industry, but you can see it in the data on the labor force. So we know, how many people are in the labor force, whether they're foreign born or native born. And if you look at foreign born, you go back a year ago, this time last year, it was growing year over year 4 or 5%. Now, obviously, that's related to the surge in immigration that occurred during the Biden administration. And, many of those immigrants came into the country looking for asylum, and they applied for work authorization. They got it and they went to work. And so we saw a really massive surge in labor force. If you look at the most recent data, labor force for the foreign born is actually declining. So, big comeuppance. And as you point out, that has big impacts on industries that are dependent on those immigrants: construction, manufacturing, agriculture, leisure hospitality, retailing, healthcare, personal services like childcare and elder care. The healthcare to some degree, all are impacted. And I should say, on the tariff front, you can see that in the data too, both in terms of jobs and growth, but you can also see it in terms of prices. Obviously, as you point out, tariffs are an effective tax, and the tax is levied through higher prices on consumers and business people. And you can see that in the inflation data. That's another data point we got last week, was inflation as measured by the consumer expenditure deflator, which is the measure the Fed uses when setting monetary policy. That showed a sizable increase in the month of June. And you go look at the detail, those price increases were in the goods that are imported into the country and face those higher tariffs. So the answer to your question is yes, you can clearly connect the dots between these policies, immigration and trade, tariffs, back to what's happening in the economy. You can see it clearly in the data.